Now we welcome in the head coach of the Trailblazers, Terry Stotts. Coach, after a long road trip and a lot of games, we appreciate you taking the time to do this tonight and joining us. Not like you don't see enough of us already, but we appreciate the time.
Well, you guys know I always enjoy my time with you. And you know what? Before we get into this interview, I just got to compliment you. You guys look like you're Bing Crosby. You should have a pipe and a fireplace somewhere nearby.
We're looking to get one installed back here. We're trying to. We're feeling a little sleepy and a little bit relaxed, a little bit comfortable tonight. But
yeah, you're looking very, very cozy. Like I said, with the snow outside, if you just had some Yuletide carols or something like that, that'd be great.
And a dog maybe on the table or something. Yes.
Yeah, nice touch.
Coach, when you look back at a trip like that, you go 2-2 on it. I mean, difficult trip going into it. The Washington loss opens it up. Then you get a good win in New York. It's not an easy place to win. Go to Indiana and have the heartbreaking loss, then bounce back with the win. Is it a road trip you look back upon and say, okay, 2-2 a split, it's okay, I'm satisfied with that? Or do things like the finish in the Indiana game, do you still sit and think about it? One defensive rebound, arguably, from another statement win. How do you feel about the trip?
Well, you never complain about being 500 on a road trip. And, you look back and look, the Indiana game was a well-played game by both teams. It was a game, certainly we all feel like we were in a position to win it, and very disappointing that we didn't. But, we fell into a little good luck in the fact that Kevin Love and Kevin Martin weren't playing in Minnesota, which could have been a very difficult game. So, as a coach, you never really want to be satisfied, but you understand the being realistic that if you go over 500 on a road trip, or if you stay 500 on the road, you're going to be a very good team. So I try not to dwell on the past, but certainly we let one get away, if that's how you want to phrase it, in Indiana. But a 2-2 road trip against some good teams on the East is not bad.
I've read where you said yesterday that at the trade deadline, the Blazers probably won't be that active. We have to look within our own team to make improvements. And you mentioned the defense. Now, is it something that they'll just have to execute what you're doing better, or will there be a little change in philosophy when you're talking defense? What changes will be made over the All-Star break?
Well, I don't know about changes. I think we need to do things better, and I think we need to do them more consistently. One of the things that, and I know you both have been on this stat as far as our record in games that we have not shot the ball well, is very good, and according to some measures is the best in the league.
19 and 10.
We've shown the ability to defend when we need to defend, when we don't shoot the ball well. You look at a game like Washington, where the first half was an offensive game, second half was a very good defensive game, which we lost. Our goal defensively is just to be more consistent and bring that. And the thing that kind of buoys my confidence is the fact that we've done it in situations where we really need to. And when you look at the better teams, and we hold Indiana and San Antonio and Chicago as the top defensive teams. They bring it every night, and that's where we're going. And I've talked all season about this being a process, and it's a process for us to get to that level consistently. And again, we do it often, just not consistently.
Coach, opportunity in the NBA comes knocking for guys, and the guys that end up sticking to the guys that take advantage of it. And, of course, I'm talking about CJ McCollum, who we've seen he had a role, and, you were starting to sprinkle him in there. I mean, he's only played, 15 total games in the NBA. He didn't play in New York. You used him in Indiana. He goes 4-4, has a real solid first half. Then in Minnesota, he really steps it up and has a real solid game and a career high. We're seeing growth day by day, it seems like, with him. And as we said about Damian last year, he just seems to have a poise and a calm that maybe is beyond his years. How satisfied with you are, the growth of CJ with what you've been giving him?
Well, I was very glad the way he responded in Indiana and Minneapolis. And, you know, it's always interesting with young players. You know, they're going to have good games, and then, but it's difficult to sustain and maintain. And you know, we've known all along that we were excited when we got him in the draft. He's a talented young player. He's going to have a long career. He's going to be very successful. The anticipation of wanting to have it all right away is, you know, it's there. It's there for the fans. It's there for the players and CJ and, you know, everybody. Everybody wants him to have success right away. It does take time. And I was very pleased with the way he filled in both those games. But he's going to still have some bumps along the way that, you know, which is natural. But he is going to be a player that's going to be part of our future. He has a talent for putting the ball in the basket. His natural position is a two guard, and what I was pleased probably most of anything of those two games, it's so easy to look at a box score and say he shot the ball well. Well, we know he can shoot. We know he can score. But I was pleased with his defense in both games, particularly in Minnesota, where he was guarding Rubio and he was guarding Barrett, two difficult matchups, and he did a good job. So, you know, he's a smart young player, and he's talented, and he's going to figure out how to be successful in this league.
You know, I looked at the Detroit Pistons and their coaching change. Under Joe Dumars, they've had 8 different coaches that Joe Dumars has hired and fired. Has it changed the NBA, the way the general manager and the coach work together? Is it more difficult in this day and age for a coach in the NBA to do what he wants to do?
That's a good question. I think the fundamental thing is that every situation is different. Every franchise, every general manager, coach, owner, there are a lot of dynamics involved in all those situations. So I think to make a blanket statement, I think is unfair to all those individual situations. I think the fact of there's so much media, social media, instantaneous information. Everybody has access to a lot of different information. Certainly times are different. But I just know that I've been in it long enough that some things happen in this league where you kind of scratch your head, but you don't know what's going on within that organization. You don't know what's going on within the Portland Trail Blazers or the Detroit Pistons or whatever. And so I think it's very difficult to speculate as to the why and the how of things are going on. I think it's very important, and I'm very thankful that, you know, that I have a very good relationship with Neil and Mr. Allen and the way things are going here. But I just know that it's you got 30 teams, and all 30 teams have their own problems and issues and things that they're dealing with.
Coach, tomorrow night Oklahoma City comes to town. You got to be proud of the fact that when you look at your record this season against the Spurs, Thunder, and Clippers, the 3 teams right with you, you're a combined 5-1. And a chance to win a season series against the Thunder tomorrow night would be huge, not only because you do win the season series against them, but to get a victory in one of these last 2, and hopefully both, last games before the All-Star break. What have you guys found that has had success against Oklahoma City? Not only the win here, the win there, and then taking them to the wire and almost winning twice in Oklahoma City.
Well, the last 2 games were very gritty defensive games in Oklahoma City, and you know, the fact that Russell Westbrook is not playing, that changes the dynamics of that team. They don't have that dynamic scoring punch, so it becomes a little bit the style of game is a little bit different. But you know, everything starts and stops with Kevin Durant and how we defend him. And you know, he had a terrific game against us. He scored the ball. He made big shots down the stretch. We're up 3 with 3 minutes to go in the game, and he makes a big shot and makes some other plays, and they pull away. But I think the thing for us, in some ways, is it's a little bit like Indiana in that they have a very physical front line that do a lot of the dirty work in the paint. They have a dynamic scorer in Kevin Durant, just like Paul George, and they have the experience of playing in big games in the playoffs, and they know what it takes to summon up the wherewithal to get a win. And that's where we want to be. And we learned a little bit of a lesson in Indiana, and I think we have that same thing tomorrow night against Oklahoma City.
Is this year any different? You look at Orlando, for instance, not playing well, and then all of a sudden they beat Miami and they beat Oklahoma City. Is it a year that the top teams are letting down a little bit more, or is it just the way the NBA is this time of year?
You know, Coach, and you coached a number of years, and there are no easy games. There are easy games in retrospect. You look back and say that was an easy game. But when you go into every game, you understand that any team is capable of putting together a game, and there aren't any easy ones going into it. They all have talented players who can get hot, who can have energy and have a game. So I really don't think it's anything unusual. I think this has happened throughout the years in the NBA.
Coach, lastly, we're usually about 5-6 feet from you during most of the games, and with what happened, and I don't want you to compare this.
And don't think I don't appreciate having that comfort of you guys being close.
We're always there for you. But during games, and in Indiana, for some reason, fans heckle. And, and the Marcus Smart thing, and this is not to tie the two together, but the Marcus Smart things happen where he goes after a fan the other night, and you handle it always well. But I always wanted to ask you, because I can hear people, and for some reason this year in Sacramento comes to mind, there was somebody who was behind you. In Indiana, there was somebody behind you yelling. And how do you handle those things? Do you let it you either just usually glance, look back and smile once in a while. You never usually say anything. Does that ever get under your skin, or are you so dialed in you don't even hear it?
Oh, you hear it. I can hear it, and sometimes it's fun. And actually, it's easier on the road because you kind of anticipate on the road. It's a little more, if you hear some of your home fans yelling, that's a little bit more disconcerting. But on the road, it's there. What they're trying to do. The Marcus Smart thing, who knows what was said? And it sounds like that was a little bit more out of context. And I think there's a different feel between an NBA game and a college atmosphere. Some of those on the road in college can really be brutal, and the fans are very rabid. I think the NBA has a little bit different fan base, but I think the best thing to do is have fun with it and really not give it much concern.
All right, Coach, thanks. I just wanted to get your take on that. We appreciate the time as always, and we will be seeing you tomorrow night. There's not a day that goes by that we don't see or talk to you, and that's a good thing.
It is a good thing for all of us.
We appreciate it, really, sincerely, Terry. Appreciate it. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Terry Stotts, Blazers head coach.